I'm Eunice Chepkemoi, Gender Officer at Ogiek People's Development Program.
My name is Abigail Kandie, the Communication Officer at Ogiek People's Development Program.
My name is Kennedy Kipngeno. I'm the Assistant Project Officer at Ogiek People's Development Program.
My name is Caroline Tegeret. I'm the Legal Officer, Ogiek People's Development Program.
I'll answer on the issue of environment.
Yes.
I think you've heard that the Ogiek have a Council of Elders, which is, I can say, is the topmost organ in terms of decision making among the Ogiek community currently, and they make decisions regarding some of the environmental issues and advice on framework of conducting environmental conservation, because the forest for the community is important to the existence of the Ogiek culture, because one, we do our traditional practices in the forest. We have herbal medicine and herbal, and also food. Some food is still collected in the forest. We do traditional beekeeping, and some of the things that some of the destruction that happen in the forest have affected the culture of the Ogiek community, like illegal cutting of indigenous trees, have affected things like traditional beekeeping, because if we lose the traditional forest, we lose our traditional beekeeping, and honey for us is a key component in our cultural practices. It has many uses. So the Ogiek elders have been advocating for the protection of indigenous forest, and for the sake of Ogiek culture and identity. Also, we have the issue of management of resources in the forest, like natural resources like rivers, the glades. So the Council of Elders have been trying to advise the government on the issue of site matching of trees in the forest, because initially you find the government planting exotic trees in important water catchment areas like around swamps, around rivers, and it has affected the flow of water, and that goes to the livelihoods of the community. So a decision to advise the government to clear off exotic trees from water catchment has been one of our what the Council of Elders have been advocating, but it has not been happening. But we see that actions need to be taken. Also, the issue of you see now the forest, there's this loading, the carrying capacity of the forest in terms of livestock and all that, and the Council of Elders have been trying to support in advising because we have areas that are really affected by overgrazing, like we find grazing in the swamps, grazing in bamboo areas, and that affects even the wild animals in the forest. So the only challenge with that is that the government has not been keen to take these advices and directions from the Council of Elders, because I think it forms part of the indigenous knowledge that needs to be incorporated in conservation. So there's still a gap in involving the community and taking their views into action. So I think I'll say that in that dimension. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's really detailed and very helpful. I want to find out in terms of management of conflicts, say between family and family among the Ogiek, not tribe by tribe, neighbor by neighbor, or community and community kind of conflicts. How does this Council of Elders help in resolving that, make decisions that help in resolving this? And also, I think this will be good for us for the context. How is the Council of Elders constituted? Who is eligible to be a member of the Council of Elders?
The Council of Elders, the Ogiek community have the clan system, whereby the clan members elect a leader who will represent the clan in the Council of Elders. And in Eastern Mau we have like 22 clans, which forms the Eastern Mau chapter of the Ogiek Council of Elders. I'll use that as an example because they deal with most of the issues that happen in Eastern Mau. And currently, OPDP has supported in capacity building. I think Eunice will talk about, there's a project about the issue of alternative justice system and the issue of, I think it's AJS that is we are trying to build a capacity on that in solving most of the disputes within the community. And we've done a lot of capacity building on the issue of mediation and the issue of negotiation and the issue of peace building. And other than the Council of Elders, we have the peace committees in the community that works in collaboration with the Council of Elders. We have the village elders, and then we have the chiefs. So all those stakeholders currently work together in addressing conflicts, because we have conflict at different levels. We have conflict at family levels, at community levels. So it goes on different stakeholders to come together, including the family heads, to come together and solve the. So it depends on which conflict that we are addressing. If it's family, it can be dealt at the clan level or the family level. If it's a clan conflict, if it's a community conflict, if it's between community and communities, because now Mau is becoming very cosmopolitan. So it has to be addressed at different levels.
So coming to the issue of AJS, so as my colleague has earlier said, that we've been building the capacity of the community in the area of AJS. AJS, Alternative Justice System. Sorry, forgive my abbreviations. So in terms of AJS and the Council of Elders playing a big role in solving disputes within the community level, I would say that the nature of AJS, the decisions are normally not final. Whenever a community member has an issue which has been adjudicated upon by the Council of Elders, and that party doesn't feel like they are satisfied with whatever decision was made out of that setting of the council, they always have a right of pursuing any other mode of getting justice. Yeah, that is because also AJS is subject to the provisions of the laws of the land, like Article 159 of the Constitution, that recognizes AJS as one of the means of resolving conflicts at the community level, but also it recognizes the fact that they are not final. The decisions that comes out of those systems are not final. They can be a party or a community member who feels aggrieved by the findings can always go to court, or better still, if the decision was made purely at the lowest level, you can still maybe go to the local administrator. Yeah, and perhaps from there, if still not satisfied, can escalate the matter to perhaps a civil court, depending on the matter. The most important pillar that is looked at by the council while making decisions is to try as much as possible to conserve or to maintain the relations between the warring parties or the disputing parties in a manner that it will foster peace and harmony even beyond that conflict. Yes. So as we all know that these other justice systems like court systems and litigations, sometimes we look at them and I think it's not really a way of solving disputes. Sometimes, in my view as an advocate, instead of solving the dispute, it can escalate it, because you see, during a case that is subject to litigation, there must be a winner and a loser. And sometimes when you look at the relationship between the parties, sometimes they are relatives, a father and a child, a mother and a daughter. So when you go to litigation and there's a winner and a loser, that relationship completely damages. And AJS systems have, I think, have that in mind while exploring those AJS systems. The most paramount thing is to maintain the relationship between the parties.
These things were not written. The elders had it in their mind, and they know that if there's a mistake or there's a conflict, it used to be addressed through doing this and this, maybe paying using maybe 3 ships or 3 gallons of honey. Yeah. So this knowledge is, I can say, they have it in their mind. But now there's a gap in transferring it to the younger generation. Yes. So, and at the context that we are now, it can only be transferred through documenting it and storing that knowledge. And for the youths like us to understand how issues were handled, it could be easy for us to read stories, and to maybe now we don't have a chance to interact with these elders and listen to the stories, but if we have in books or in soft copies, we can listen to documented stories and understand how things used to be done in the past and how it can be replicated at this generation or in the future generations. So I think now that the issue of competition comes in to maybe support documentation of such knowledge. So maybe now Eunice can come in and add something.
In terms of the folktale competition, which I had mentioned earlier, for us, we felt this is one way in which we can engage both the elders and the youth together, because the youth cannot write the stories about the past without engaging the elders. because this story is normally it's about the past, and if you are a youth, you are supposed to go and engage your grandmother or your grandfather to narrate to you those stories, and then now it is written. So that is how they usually do, by engaging or coming together. And then also there is another element of us organizing the annual cultural events. So in these annual cultural events, we are bringing together different groups. That is now the elders, the youth, the women, and the approaches which we are using in making presentation. One is about the issue of songs.
Okay.
Songs.
Songs. Okay.
So women, they compose songs about Ogiek. It can be about the Ogiek livelihood, about the forest. Actually, it touches on the different issues within the Ogiek community. And from that point, the youths are able to learn about how things used to be in the past.
First, we make sure that the projects are more community-led, and that's one way of achieving an impact for projects. Making sure that when we want to execute a certain project, we have funds for, maybe we have suggested something on climate justice. We go back to the community, sit down and ask them, what kind of a project do you want to have? So for instance, like I mentioned, the renewable energy project. We went down to the community, identified the need from them, and they were like, we have children who do not go to school because they don't have energy or they don't have lights to come and read back at home. So looking at that, one of the success was that there was an increase of students going back to school, and an increase of even parents allowing their kids to go back to school. And I think it's more like when you make a project more community-led, that's when you get a lot of success. Instead of you coming as an organization, you have money. Like for instance, this is a community that has been evicted, but you want to go and take cows for them. Where will they graze those cows, Yeah, so such aspects of just realizing the context of the community, realizing the locality, realizing the challenges that these communities face, and trying to conceptualize or trying to build up a way of merging between, or trying to get a balance between, yes, this is a community that has challenge and we have these projects.
I know in the past the Ogiek women used not to speak in front of men. Because it's like men didn't see any value when they see women speaking. But right now, because of the empowerment programs which we've been able to carry out and capacity building, we now have more women who are able to come out and speak up. And the women and the men have changed their attitude. They have now accepted what the women are saying. And that is why we are even having the women being part of the Council of Elders. I know in most of the communities, the women are not part of the Council of Elders.
They are now.
But in our community, we now have women who are part of the Council of Elders. And that is how we are now seeing it is a progress for us, or it is a positive outcome on our end, seeing many women coming out and speaking up for themselves. And then
how are they selected?
The women. It is we have different
the
groups.
clans again.
Yeah, it is also based on the clans.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is not just you don't just speak any woman. No,
Yeah.
it is based on the clan. Though in some of the community we usually say the women, they don't belong to any clan.
I've had instances where there have been disinformation about the Ogiek community. We have had instances where there have been people masquerading to be, the real registered Council of Elders. And I see how the Council of Elders have been dealing with this is since they're now well capacity built on how to address these issues, one, they will always hold pressers. They will invite the press, come and talk to the press guys, talk about the situation that is at hand, and just let it out to the public that this is us. There is no any other council of elders, and nobody should come and speak on behalf of the Ogiek community. It's still I think the issue of decision making amongst the council elders, or even making decisions for the community in terms of even developmental projects, still goes back to the issue of now the BCP, the biocultural protocol that is present for the community. Though it's still not really appreciated, that's not really appreciated at a national level, but we see that at some point it helps with allowing the community know that this is our rights. Nobody is supposed to come and do certain projects without our consent or knowledge. And most of the time you'll find that when these things happen, they will always come by and say, there's these people who are coming and they're telling us this and this. If they're unsure of what step to take, they will always be in consultative meetings with our organization. So I think that is some of the steps the Council of Elders deals with such instances.
Maybe what I can say in terms of the challenges within the Ogiek community is that it is the element of representation. That is the biggest challenge which we have, because for one, we can say the person in the highest position within the community right now is the chief, because we don't have any elected person from the community. In the previous administration, at least we had nominated MCA, but right now we don't have any. So it is the biggest challenge. And we know in our constitution, Article 100, it is clearly stipulated that the minority groups, they need to be part and parcel of the to be represented within the county. So it will be prudent if the county government can be able to respect that clause by ensuring the representation of the Ogiek community is respected, or that clause is respected, protected, and also fulfilled, so that we have one who can be able to voice our issues and our issues are taken seriously.
One of the challenges I will mention is more connected to the aspect of representation, and this comes in the essence of maybe involvement in policy or decision making for these indigenous communities, because you see, with the fact that there is no single person who represents this community, meaning they don't take part in decision making tables. So what happens? They continue to be marginalized. They continue to face discrimination. They continue to face to go through issues such as disposition from their land, just because they don't have any representation. And maybe some of what or how this can be helped is to create advocacy on trying to increase access to, even increasing access to these justice systems, or pushing on the respect for indigenous communities or even minority rights, because I think so far in Kenya, if you're not Maasai, if you're not these indigenous communities, for instance the Ogiek, then you don't have a place or you don't have a voice. So maybe it's raising the voices, raising the bars to advocating for their rights.
For me, I'll say the primary problem is the ignorance by the government on court decisions and policies.
Ignorance?
On court decisions and policies.
Would you call it ignorance or impunity? I think that's pure impunity.
Yes, because that is the foundation of the achievement of development of the Ogiek community. And we call on the government to implement court decisions and also implement the policies that are available to support the development of indigenous communities. Because, for example, for the case of the Ogiek community of Sosimwani, even if development had been done in that area, schools, and they are evicted, it's of no benefit when they do not have their land rights. So that's why I'll say that's the core challenge that need to be addressed for the benefit of the Ogiek community. Thank you.
I think what I'm going to say is also closely tied to what my colleagues have already spoken about. But I think also the primary challenge that is facing the community is lack of land tenure rights, which has actually given birth to some other couple of problems. Because you see, when you dispossess the community of their ancestral land, you are basically denying them a lot of other things, like their right to culture, their right to religion. You are disrupting their livelihoods, and in a way you are killing that community. Because as an indigenous community, what makes us indigenous as a community is our different way of life. And when you try to uproot the community from all those things, you are killing that community, because you are forcing them to assimilate into the other dominant cultures and societies, and you are now making it disappear. And also closely tied to that is lack of tenure rights invites other economic challenges, and it dispossesses them of their right to socio-economic rights, like education, right to housing, right to food. When you deny somebody of land tenure rights, they basically can't have the other rights. I think the problem with the government in respect to land tenure rights is lack of obedience to court orders. If only they were keen on implementing court orders, we would not be having these problems. And secondly, on the issue of recognition, I believe the National Gender and Equality Commission has the mandate, and they should do the needful.
Another challenge is about the issue of climate change. I know this is a global subject, but you see now the Ogiek having that interconnections with the forest, they are so much affected because their livelihood has been affected. Being hunter-gatherer community, they can no longer go and harvest honey the way they used to. They can no longer go to hunt. So they are the most affected, and it is really affecting them in all the dimensions. So what I will say is that having this element of climate financing, the people who should be considered should be the Ogiek. Let me be particular, to be the Ogiek community, because they have that they have the traditional knowledge, and they know how they can continue to protect the biodiversity using that knowledge. So if they can pump in those resources to the Ogiek community, based on what we have seen right now, they have done. See, the animals who had already migrated from where they from the areas we have rehabilitated, they have come back. So we need more resources so that we are able to do a lot of rehabilitation. We conserve the environment, and we also invest on the practices or the nature-based solutions which can be able to cap the effects of the climate change.